Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It's time. The calendar has turned to April. There are only a few days left in the regular season, and teams are feeling the heat. The Eastern Conference is still a jumble. It feels like anybody could finish anywhere. How real is Buffalo? How real is Montreal? Are the Hurricanes seemingly the kings of the East? We'll break that down and discuss that. Meanwhile, out west, there's one team that seems to be bound for the playoffs, but is getting desperate. The Vegas Golden Knights have made a change at head coach, going to John Tortorella. A smart move? We will discuss that. And in the PWHL, we've got another playoff ticket crunch tonight in Montreal. The Victoire are returning to the Walter Cup playoffs, and the men's Frozen Four is set. We will break down that bracket and preview that going out in Las Vegas as well. All that plus more coming up right here, right now on the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Adam Karnik. He is Freddie B. Yep. Together, we do this crazy thing called the Neutral Zone every single week here on Wednesday nights. So glad that you are here with us. So let's get down to business. Let's talk some hockey, shall we?
Let's do it, Adam. Yeah.
Not a ton of games on the docket tonight, but man, there's been a lot going on in the hockey world, hasn't there, this past week? We got teams flying up all around the standings. We got teams getting eliminated. We got teams standing pat. We got teams making moves in the front office. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, especially playoff teams making a coaching change with 2.5 weeks left in the season. Something I didn't see happening. But yeah, we have a short schedule tonight, only 3 games going on, but all these games do have some meet. Well, some of the games have meeting. St. Louis and Los Angeles playing right now, 0-0 in the first, and the Ducks and Sharks up in San Jose 1-1 at the end of the first as well. Sharks just 2 points out of a playoff spot right now, and the Ducks trying to cling and stay on top of the Pacific Division. And the division that we said, for the last few weeks, nobody really wants to take the reins and finish this thing. But yeah, good week of hockey. Lots of stuff going on. We've got the Frozen Four teams, as well, that we can talk about a little bit, Adam. But let's get into the biggest news, I think, of the week and what happened with Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Vegas seems to be kind of the center of the hockey world right now, so that's a great place to start. Before we get too far along, though, we do want to give a quick thank you to our sponsors. First of all, yes. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. You will find, whether you like something that's much more on the mild side or whether you're just trying to rip your taste buds clean out through your teeth, they've got something for you. I keep coming up with different ways to say that. I'm not sure which one is my favorite yet, but we'll keep figuring that out.
I love it.
But try them all. They are delicious. They are fantastic. It truly is outstanding beef jerky. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. And, of course, Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. When you go to vitalapparel.com, be sure to use the promo code IESR at checkout, and you get 15% off of your order as well there. Right. And you can follow along with IE Sports Radio. We are on the social media platforms of Twitter. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube at IE Sports Radio. That's where many of you are watching the show across Twitter and across YouTube. You can also watch the show directly on iesportsradio.com as well. Mm-hmm. You can check up on the newest show that is going on right now, or you can also catch past episodes as well. But if you're watching across YouTube or Twitter, be sure to drop a comment on the board. Let us know where you are. We got Adam S. already hanging out with us. Gentlemen, good evening.
Gentlemen.
Adam. We know
Buffalo.
That you're happy about the Buffalo Sabres. We'll be getting into that conversation a little bit later tonight as well. Just, where do they fall on Freddie's power rankings this week? The power rankings got updated literally right before we went on, too. So
it's just kind of the most movement I think we've had in the top 10 maybe all season, Adam. There's a couple surprises in there, and if you're watching or listening, let me know what you think. Let me know what team deserves to be in the top 10 of this week's power rankings, or who does not deserve to be in there. So we like to do that. We'll touch on that a little bit later as well.
Absolutely. So that's become a regular staple every week that we do that, of course. But let's dive in with Vegas, because that is where everything is happening right now. We've got the Frozen Four going to be happening later this week, starting tomorrow, as a matter of fact, out in Vegas. But with the Golden Knights, the big news with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now, as we go into play tonight, as I'm pulling up the standings right now so that I'm making sure I'm as accurate as I can be here, Vegas is still sitting in third in the Pacific Division. They are 3 points behind the Edmonton Oilers for third, but they are also 6 points in front of your Los Angeles Kings. Now, right. The Kings have got 2 games in hand, so theoretically Vegas could fall out of the number 3 spot, though it feels like the Kings really don't necessarily want to take that 3 spot, but that's getting off topic. That's right. Heading in a different direction. But the point is, Vegas is in a playoff spot, yet they found themselves with a new head coach. Bruce Cassidy got fired March 29th, so at the very tail end of the month of March, and they bring in John Tortorella to replace him.
Adam, I thought we were in for like an early April Fool's joke or something like that. I mean, I when I first saw the headline, I had to check multiple sources to make sure it was a legitimate post, and it sure enough was.
Yeah, now I saw the post, and my mind immediately just went to, this screams of desperation on Vegas's part. You're talking, they have at the time they had 8 games left in the regular season. They've since played a game. They have 7 games left in the regular season at this point. How much can changing a coach at this point? It just feels like it's way too little, way too late.
Adam, keep in mind that Bruce Cassidy led Vegas to the Stanley Cup in 2023. So they're not that far removed from winning a Stanley Cup. And then also keep in mind that they went out and brought in Mitchell Marner in the offseason. And they made a trade, at the trades deadline. They made good moves. This was already a really good team, Adam. But since January 19th, Vegas was only 8-15-4. And, they were just kind of floundering in this Pacific Division that nobody really wanted to take control over. And I'm just shocked. I thought Bruce Cassidy was a good coach. The team was just underperforming. Unfortunately, they reached their point of, we can't take this any longer. We've got to do something. And George McPhee decided, you know what, we've got to fire Bruce Cassidy. And of all the coaches, John Tortorella, the one named, he hasn't coached since he was fired from Philadelphia just about a year ago, March 27th, in fact, of 2025. So it was almost a full year. Torts has been out. He's been working with ESPN, doing some commentary and stuff like that. Now, Vegas did win the first game with Torts behind the bench. It was a game what they should have won because they played Vancouver. Vancouver had a lead up until I think about halfway or so through or into the third period. I think they were still up 3-2, if I remember correctly. And then Vegas came out and tied it, took a lead, empty netter. But yeah, Vegas has been struggling a lot. That was a huge win for them. And we'll see where this takes them. I don't know, Adam. What's your thoughts on this whole thing?
It's very, very strange to me. I was pulling up the quotes from Kelly McCrimmon, the general manager for Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I think somewhere along the way we lost our spirit and lost our energy as a team. We've gone from first to second to third to fighting for a playoff spot. We waited as long as we could on this. To me, that last sentence there, that's the money line of this. We waited as long as we could. I would argue you waited too long if you're Vegas. To me, just making a move of this magnitude with this little amount of time left in the regular season, I don't see how much of a difference it really can make. Let's face it, Tortorella's you're not going to be changing anything major at this point. You'd run the risk of just confusing everybody at this point. If you're trying to massively mix up and change up your systems, that to me is a recipe for disaster. If you're doing anything, so you're asking Tortorella to here's the right, and you can't do anything with the roster. You can't do anything there. Even if you did, anybody you'd bring up wouldn't be eligible for the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
So it's okay, John. Here's the roster. If you're McCrimmon, you're telling Tortorella, okay, John. Here's the team as myself and Cassidy assembled it. Here's the system that Cassidy was running. You can't touch either of these things. You can't bring in anybody else.
Yeah.
Make it work. I don't see how. If I'll put it this way, if they do, it's not going to make any difference had they not changed anything.
I really don't know, to be honest with you, Adam. The one thing that Tortorella does have is he coached Jack Eichel and Noah Hannafin on the U.S. Olympic team, so he does have some familiarity with those guys. So I don't know if that had any influence on the decision that was made to bring him in or not. Now, like you said, only 7 games remaining. There's 6 points to the good into a playoff spot. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to settle and finish third in the Pacific. Now, will they get the same result had Cassidy been behind the bench? I don't know. You have to ask the players on that. And Tortorella is a guy who's just probably there really to light a fire under all their asses. He's behind the bench. He's going to be screaming. He's dropping F-bombs. I mean, this could be the perfect motivation to get these guys pointed in the right direction because, in 2 weeks from now, they're going to probably be playing Edmonton or Anaheim in the first round of the playoffs. And they've got to get things in order. Vegas is too good of a team roster-wise. And they're lucky to be in the spot where they're at in the fact that, San Jose, Seattle and Los Angeles haven't taken true advantage of the downplay that they've had over the last 2 months. They've done just as bad. And I mean, either of those teams, if had gone on runs, could probably have caught Vegas in the standings, and we'd be talking maybe of coaching firing a little bit sooner than right now. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Tortorella did win a Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay, and I think this is just, to light a fire under them. Kind of reminds me, it was earlier in the season when the Kings brought in Daryl Sutter to coach and led the team to the Stanley Cup in 2012. And that kind of reminds me of the same kind of hard-nosed, guy who is going to be on you and expects a lot. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how Vegas finishes the rest of the regular season. And if they can get hot, they could be a dangerous team come playoff time.
They could be, and like you said, to the point of lighting a fire under everybody. I was going to say the one thing that Tortorella will do. Everybody better come with their boxing gloves on, because Tortorella is gonna. Everybody's gonna be. You better be ready to fight. You better be ready to get out there. You better get ready to just play your hardest, because that Tortorella is going to, for better or for worse, with John Tortorella. He demands 1,000% energy. He demands that you skate as if your hair, your blades, and your stick are all on fire simultaneously.
Yeah. I mean, they've put up their guys this year on the roster have done fairly well points wise, but Jack Eichel only at 78 points. He's usually 90 to 100 points a year kind of a guy. Same with Mitchell Marner, only 20 goals, 51 assists. Mark Stone at the 65 point mark. So they're a little bit below average performance wise statistically for some of these guys that I really expected to have big years. I thought Vegas was going to be the elite team in the Pacific Division, and they still can be. They still have the roster: Tomas Hertl, Pavel Dorofeyev. They've got plenty of firepower offensively, and then defensively, they've got some big, veteran bodies back there as well. Goaltending is always questionable.
Mm-hmm.
How hot can a goalie get when you need him?
Yeah, absolutely. But Adam S in the chat bringing up that maybe they're hoping for a Sabres like Kevin Adams is fired effect.
There's another team that needs that. Yeah,
and that's catching lightning in a bottle in a lot of ways. That was catching lightning in a bottle. This is like trying to catch lightning in a pop can, and such a small window of opportunity here with Vegas. Best of luck to them. I find it unlikely that it'll have much of an effect, but we'll see. We'll see what
we'll see it. Yeah, if I wouldn't want to. I still wouldn't want to play Vegas in the first round of the playoffs if you're Anaheim or Edmonton. They're still going to be a tough out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So and I don't know. We'll see what happens, Adam. I don't know if they get hot. Do you give Tortorella all the credit, or do you give the players credit for finally picking their game up? I think it starts with the guy that they bring in.
To me, I go with the players at that point, but we'll let it play out. It's a great chicken or egg.
It is.
It's a great chicken and egg debate.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe we get to have it. And they go on a terrific run, and we'll get to have that debate. We'll see. Vegas Golden Knights were not the only team making changes in the off ice personnel as well this week. Mm-hmm. Toronto made a move this week, firing general manager Brad Treliving. He was in his third season with the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
The Maple Leafs are having a truly abysmal, abhorrent. Frankly, I think everybody saw it coming except for Toronto, but still, they're having an awful season. The Maple Leafs find themselves in 14th overall in the East. in the division overall, they find themselves 7th in the Atlantic. The only team they're in front of are the defending champion Panthers. 75 games in, they have just 77 points, 32, 30, and 13. They're technically still alive, but boy, you want to talk about miracles at that point. You know, they are done. They are done, but
I think it was due, and I think the writing was on the wall, really. And I don't know if they're gonna even, let go of Craig Berube at the end of the season as well. I've talked about that all year, thinking he was going to be the one. But Brad Treliving came in and inherited what Kyle Dubas had in Toronto. The core 4 forwards, Marner and Matthews and Tavares and Nylander. And they did lose Marner at the beginning of this season to Vegas, but he didn't really make any of the moves that I think this organization wanted him to make. They needed depth. They needed defensive depth. Goaltending is still an issue up there. And that, again, with combination of players just not performing where you expected them. And then Matthews ends up getting hurt. And I don't know, Adam. This is another one. I think it was a move that needed to be made by Toronto, because this franchise, from being a potential Stanley Cup favorite, right? I would say they had probably were a top 6 to 8 team in terms of odds beginning of the season to win the Stanley Cup, and to have this poor of a season that they've had this year, something needed to be done. So we'll see what happens up in Toronto, but give me your take on that.
Yeah, first of all, I think absolutely you're firing the general manager, then absolutely whomever you bring in needs to have the freedom and flexibility to bring in their own coach. So absolutely, I would not be surprised at all if we wind up seeing Berube on the way out at the end of the season. That simply makes too much sense. And frankly, if you're interviewing for the general manager job, that's one of the first questions you ask. Can I bring in my own guy at head coach? And if the answer is no, thank you. Thanks for the time. I think we're done here. I'm not sure I'd even want the job then at that point. Austin Matthews or no Austin Matthews.
Yeah, exactly.
I said it at the end of last season, and I've kind of maintained this position all season long. Toronto needed to do this a year ago. Toronto needed to tear down and rebuild. They have bumped into a glass ceiling. And I feel like this group has taken them as far as it can go.
Yeah, they needed a change in their culture for sure.
They needed to do this a year ago. Whether it was letting go of Treliving or not, or they needed to make a big change a year ago. They made the decision that no, let's play it out. Let's run it back one more year. We're going to try this out one more year.
Yeah.
And it hasn't worked at all. It's a disaster. Nope. You're talking, you have wasted another year of one of the best players in Austin Matthews. They've got some other terrific pieces there in Toronto. They just can't make it work. They really need to look at stripping this thing down and starting over. Yep. And now they're getting it. Now they've come to that realization. All right, the best time to have made this was last June. The second best time is now. So they made the decision. They've moved on. Treliving, he will get work in the NHL. He'd been in Calgary before.
He was with Calgary, yeah.
Yep, he'd been the general manager there in Calgary. He'd had success there with the Flames. before. He's been a VP of hockey operations. He's been an assistant GM before. He's done other things with other teams. He'll land on his feet.
I think so.
Somebody will take him. Somebody will bring him along and get him there. He's not, but especially, my gosh, the way the NHL likes to recycle, at places in the front office, somebody will bring him on. He'll land on his feet and get somewhere.
I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested to see where he ends up. He definitely, he's a hockey guy, and we'll see. There's going to be some openings here GM wise, I think, as well. So
yeah, Toronto's not going to be the only GM opening. The Rangers instantaneously leap to mind for me. There's going to.
Did Nashville ever replace? Did they formally replace anybody for Barry Trotz?
I'd have to look.
I don't know if they did or not. There, I'm hoping Los Angeles does something now. I don't know if I want Brad Treliving, running the Kings. I don't know if it could get any worse than where we're already at with Luc Robitaille running it. But that's just another option. There's going to be some shakeups, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, the Predators have not replaced Barry Trotz. So yeah, you've got an opening right there already in Nashville. You're gonna have other spots open up this season. GM's one of those that doesn't open up like coach does, but they open up, they become available. So there'll be opportunities there. So there'll be spots, but
I'm also interested to know where Toronto goes forward from here.
Yeah.
What steps do they make? Do they just, clean house, start fresh with a new GM and new coaching staff? That's what I'm waiting to see. And I think we're probably headed to some major rebuild. And I mean, who's to say Austin Matthews is even going to be around much longer in Toronto? So yeah, I think, you cut some fat, you make some deals. They're really hoping right now for the Kings to make the playoffs because they'll get a second-round pick instead of a third for the deal that they made for Scott Lawton. So they're rooting for the Kings, and they play the Kings this weekend. So that'll be an interesting game.
That will be an interesting one. But yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities for what the Leafs could do. If I'm the Leafs, you don't need to make a snap decision on this. You can afford to take a little bit of time, sit down, figure out what it is you're looking for in your next general manager. You don't need to go out there and hire the first name that comes across your desk. You want to get this right. This needs to be, you sit down, you have some serious discussions, you look at why this hasn't worked, and then you come up with your list from there and attack it. You don't need to, you don't need to replace this by the time the regular season is over here in a couple of weeks. It could, heck, I'd argue that you could make it before the Stanley Cup, before the final. You could go all the way into June. You kind of want to have something in place for the draft, and the draft is pretty much as soon as the Stanley Cup gets hoisted, they turn around and the next weekend, let's have the draft. So you want to have, you'd want to have it by the Cup final so that you can have some semblance of an idea of what you're going to be doing in the draft. But in the meantime, take your time. Take your time. Don't be in too big of a hurry. Don't rush this, Toronto.
Yeah, it looks like the top three candidates right now possibly are, Doug Armstrong, who we know with, he had been with St. Louis for a while, and he's been a really good GM. Mark Hunter, he is a former Toronto co-assistant GM, I believe. When I think that was Dubas or Shanahan, it's whoever was running the Leafs. And then also another name that I saw thrown out there is Chris Pronger, former NHL player, Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting choice.
That's a different choice. Yeah, I mean, you see that from time to time. We've seen players go from jumping over the boards to staying behind them and having good success. Patrick Waugh leaps to mind as head coach.
Yes.
But he's not the only example. You've seen Steve Yzerman with Detroit has had some success working things upstairs with the Red
Greer
Wings.
with the Sharks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So certainly worth talking to, worth exploring. But again, don't feel like, oh my goodness sake, we've got to make a decision because we're the Toronto Maple Leafs and we can't possibly, we can't possibly be without a general manager for more than 3 days. You take your time, get this decision right. Get this right. All right,
I agree.
We're going to do your power rankings, but I would suggest before we do the power rankings, because I know everybody loves those and everybody
loves them.
Thoughts and feelings and opinions, and we welcome those. Be sure to drop them on YouTube or on Twitter at Freddie B_sports is where you can hit him up directly, or you can hit us up at IESR Neutral Zone on Twitter. Before we do that, there is a little bit of fun that we want to get to. We talked about him last week. He's going to be enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's simply a question of when. It's not if. But once again, we find ourselves talking about Ovechkin because, I mean, he's just one of the greatest hockey players ever. And he once again went and did something that nobody's ever done before. More history for Ovechkin.
More history. And I can't believe the guy's he's something special, man. 30 goals again for the 20th season, becoming the first NHL player to have 20 30-goal seasons in their career. Absolutely unbelievable. And at the age that he's doing it, there's no slowing down.
No.
Right?
No, there's absolutely no slowing down. There's no slowdown in that. There's no hitch in that giddy up.
And that I think I love it, man. I love every piece of that. I've always been a huge fan of Ovechkin, and he's just a great guy too, and I'd like to see him, if he can, I don't know if next year's going to be the farewell tour. We kind of hinted at something like that possibly, but I mean, if he could do it again, the Capitals are only technically 3 points out of a playoff spot too, which is mind-boggling considering that they were kind of out of it, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, I think the entire Eastern Conference is 3 points out of a playoff spot at this point. It's ridiculous and absurd. I don't think anyone in the Eastern Conference has lost in the last month and a half. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, no one is interested in showing up.
Yeah, I know. That's so crazy. Yeah, the Ducks 87 points right now. They're leading the Pacific Division, but they would be out of a playoff spot if they were in the Eastern Conference with 87 points.
They would. They wouldn't even. Yeah, they wouldn't even be the last wild card spot.
That's terrible. Think about it. Think about that. If Anaheim's that bad, I mean, Vegas only has 82 points. They would be, way down there in the Eastern Conference. That's just
they would be seventh right now in the wild card chase in the East. The Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, you understand why they're looking at changing their head coach too. Is you got something like that. But yes, the Washington Capitals, they are on a three-game winning streak. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10. They're 38, 28, and 9 overall. But with 7 games remaining, they are 3 games out of a playoff spot. They have the same number of games left to play on their schedule as the Columbus Blue Jackets, but there are 3 other teams between Washington and Columbus, and all 3 of them have a game in hand on Washington, and none of them are playing tonight. So that's a lot of teams that you got to jump if you're Washington.
Of course, there's there's a lot of scoreboard watching, but you have to take care of what you can take care of, and that's the game at hand every night. If you can go out there and get 2 points, there's a good chance that somebody's going to slip up, and as long as you keep winning, you're going to be there and slot into a spot possibly. And I'm interested. I don't think that Washington gets in, but at the same time, if they did, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I've got
there's a lot.
I've got their remaining schedule here for you.
Okay.
Obviously, they've got tonight off. This is in order. At New Jersey, hosting Buffalo, at the Rangers, at Toronto, at the Penguins, hosting the Penguins, and that's a back-to-back. They're in Pittsburgh on Saturday. They're hosting Pittsburgh on Sunday, then next weekend. And then they finish up the final game of their regular season is at Columbus.
I don't like it. I think they probably go like, how many games is it? 7 games they got?
It's 7 games.
I'm going to say Washington probably goes like 3-2-2. So they pick up 8 points. 8 points would get you to, what would that get them? To 93 points. Oh man, I think that's going to be just probably about 3 points shy of getting in. They're going to put up a fight. Now, let's just say, they win 6 of 7 and get a possible 12 points. Now we're talking maybe getting in and sneaking into that number 8 spot. But yeah. I mean, you got Buffalo. That's not going to be an easy feat. Columbus isn't going to be an easy game. Maybe the Rangers in New Jersey, but Pittsburgh, back-to-back games against Pittsburgh, those are going to be giant games. Crosby, Ovechkin, this late in the season, this meaningful, that's going to be some really good hockey.
Those are going to be some excellent games. Yeah, that's the Saturday game will be on ABC. The Sunday game will be on TNT. So yeah. the big networks grabbing those and highlighting those. Those will be fun. I look at it. I'm kind of with you. I think they'll keep it close. But that's a tall order. It's for me, it's not so much the points needed, it's the amount of teams you have to jump.
Yeah.
It's so many teams you've got to jump between now and then. So yeah, it's not even just all you can focus on, all you can worry about is the 7 games that are in front of you. But there are so many other things you need to go your way that will make it tough. We'll make it challenging. All right, should we do your power rankings?
Yeah, we can do the power rankings.
All right, let's dive in. Let's do the power rankings. Now, once again, as we set up the rules and the instructions here for the power rankings, Freddie comes up with these on his own every single week. If you have a problem with them, well, you talk to Freddie about it. He would love to have some good-natured fun back and forth.
I've yet to have anybody come up and send me any DMs or anything questioning the power rankings. In fact, I think last week Adam S said he kind of agreed with where I had some of these teams in there. Now this week I kind of changed it up a little bit, and there's going to be a few surprises. So let me know, guys, what you all think of this week's rankings.
Yep. And there's going to be right out of the gate. There's going to be some questions because we have 2 teams at number 10. Yeah. So at number 10 and number 11, we have Pittsburgh and we have Anaheim.
Yeah. I think Pittsburgh's going to end up making the playoffs. They're still surprising me, winning big games, 6-3-1 over their last 10. they're 3 points ahead of the Islanders with a game in hand in second in the Metro. I think Pittsburgh's going to get in. Now, you get Crosby and Malkin and Carlson and Letang and Rust and those guys going. That could be, Penguins Islanders first round matchup, I think would be fantastic. And I hope we could see that. But the Islanders, they're kind of struggling here. So yeah, I have Pittsburgh, but then I also have / Anaheim. And that is because Anaheim's still sitting atop in the Pacific Division, 2 points ahead of Edmonton with 2 games in hand. They're playing right now tied 1-1 with the Sharks. I just haven't seen enough from the Ducks. They had a kind of a disappointing ending to the game the other night when Toronto beat them in overtime in Anaheim. It was a game that the Ducks had a lead. Toronto came back, and then they end up losing that game. Those kind of games, when you're fighting to win the division, you've got to figure out a way to close them out. And I still think the Ducks they're going to be into the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to win the division or not. Edmonton is starting to heat up as well. I kind of like what I'm seeing out of them. So I have Anaheim / Pittsburgh as the 10th hottest team right now in the league.
Yeah, I would say Anaheim is cooling off. They would definitely be a team, in my opinion. I would be looking for Anaheim to drop out of these rankings this time next week unless they have a little bit of a turnaround. In my opinion.
And that's why, Adam, when you go to the number 9 team right now in the rankings, I've got Edmonton. Edmonton is trailing Anaheim in the standings, have played a game more than Anaheim, but Edmonton has won 4 in a row. We already know that they don't have Leon Draisaitl, but they're winning the games that need to be won. There was a lot, talk about whether Chris Knobloch would have a job, at the end of the season, or would he be getting fired? Now Edmonton is starting to put it together. The goaltending's still in question. The defense, outside of really Bouchard, Nurse, something about him just rubs me the wrong way. His play, he doesn't know. He crosses the line a little too often, and that could be costly for Edmonton in the playoffs. You can take a stupid penalty or another suspension, something like that. But yeah, Edmonton, just because of their hot streak right now, that's why I put them ahead of Anaheim.
I don't disagree with that right now either. They are definitely playing better hockey, and what a time to be getting into some better hockey. They've won 4 in a row, 6 of their last 10, 7 points in 7 of their last 10, including 6 victories. The Oilers are starting to look like the Oilers again as we're getting ready to head into the playoffs. So I got no problem with you moving them up there.
And over the past 5 games, McDavid has scored a goal in those last 5, picking up 6 goals in that stretch and adding 2 more assists. So he's not stopping. He's going to put this team on his back, and I don't want to be playing against a pissed off Connor McDavid.
No,
not at all.
He will make you pay. He will make you pay. Coming in at number 8 this week, we've got the Boston Bruins.
Where's B Mad Dog right now? I'm putting the Bruins in here at number 8. The Bruins are hot. They have won 4 in a row as well. 7-1-2 over their last 10. And they a week or so ago were straddling that 8th spot in the Eastern Conference in the wild card. And now they find themselves with this streak up to 94 points, 6 points ahead of Columbus, who is that 8th wild card team. So Boston putting it together right at the right time. And right now, if we started the playoffs today, you're going to have Boston and Buffalo in the first round.
That would be exciting. That would be a lot of fun. That would be an excellent matchup. We'll see how it actually winds up playing. But Boston's getting good at the right time. Another one of these Eastern Conference teams that there's only so many spots, but a lot of deserving teams, and Boston is looking like one of them. Now,
It's crazy. It's crazy. Week by week, it changes.
Now, number 7, this is a team that's been on here a lot, but we're used to seeing them a lot higher on the list. The Dallas Stars slipping all the way down to 7 this week.
Yeah, they clinched their playoff spot last week, joining the Avalanche as the first 2 teams to clinch a playoff spot in the Western Conference. They're at 100 points, 8 points behind Colorado. They're not going to catch Colorado, and 6 points ahead of Minnesota. But Dallas, they go on these streaks, and you've seen it too, Adam, where they could, we saw them. They had a 15 game points streak just a couple of weeks ago, 14-0-1. And now, since then, they're 3-5-2. They haven't locked in that second seed yet. They do have a 6-point advantage over Minnesota, but again, you get down to the end of the season, you want to start playing your better hockey, not getting into these slumps. And some of these games, they're giving up 6 goals a game. They gave up 6 to the Islanders. I believe they gave up 6 to New Jersey as well. And I think they gave up a big amount. I think who they just played recently, was it Pittsburgh? They played. I could be wrong.
I'm pulling it up right here. They beat Pittsburgh 6-3, but yes, they gave up 6 to the Star. They gave up 6 to the Bruins. Yeah. They lost to the Flyers, lost to the Islanders. They gave up 6 to the Devils.
Yeah, they were giving up way too many goals.
Yeah,
and that was kind of concerning to me. That's why I kind of put them down a little bit in the rankings this week.
The Stars seem to be a team that loses its focus. They will, when they are all focused in and when they've got their concentration, they can be tough to beat. But when they lose that edge mentally, things can go downhill in a hurry. And in the playoffs, a lot of times you don't have the luxury of being able to lose your you lose your concentration for a game. The next thing you know, you can be eliminated from the playoffs entirely.
You're 100%.
Well, you brought them up. They're coming in at number 6 this week on your power rankings. The Minnesota Wild, another team that we've typically seen much higher on this list all season. They're still here, but they're much more middle of the pack now in these rankings.
Yeah, and I could have flip-flopped them with Dallas as well. I mean, they're kind of playing that same style, less than 500 or a 500 type hockey. Their last 3 games, they gave up 6 in a loss to Tampa Bay. Then they beat Florida, and then they give up 6 to Pittsburgh. 6 just seems to be that magic number right now that these teams are giving up. And that's crazy because, Minnesota, as we know, it's been pretty solid. They had the, good goaltending to start the season with the 2 Swedes. And then, what we've seen out of Quinn Hughes and all of those guys right there. Mm-hmm. I like Minnesota. Minnesota is dangerous. And we've talked about it all year, Adam. That matchup against Dallas in the first round is going to be probably a 7-game, multiple overtime game kind of series.
Oh yeah, that's going to absolutely be a dogfight. That is going to be a massive dogfight. It's going to be terrific theater. It's going to be fantastic television to watch in the first round. It is a shame that it's a first round series. It would make a fantastic Western Conference final when it comes up.
Yeah,
coming in at number 5, we're back into the Eastern Conference now. The Montreal Canadiens coming in at number 5.
I don't know where I had them, Adam. I don't even know if they were on the list last week. I don't think I had them at all, to be honest with you. But Montreal is on fire. They are winners of 6 in a row, 7-3-0 over their last 10. But they jump and pick up 12 points. They go from 84 to 96 points in a little over a week. And now they're currently only 2 points behind Tampa Bay for second in the Atlantic, and 4 points behind Buffalo. And in this stretch too, Jakub Dobeš has really solidified the net for Montreal. He was the number 1 star in the NHL last week. Last night, I was watching that game against Tampa Bay, a huge game on the road, and he stops 36 out of 37 shots, a huge win in regulation for Montreal. Now, again, they're kind of one of those teams that, you know, tough to play against and tough to game plan against. They're not the biggest, not the toughest team in the league, but they know how to put pucks in the net. Cole Caulfield, we know what he's done already this tremendous season. So if they can get Dobesh to continue to play the style of goaltending he has right now, you know, they could be dangerous. And right now they're currently set up to play Tampa Bay in the first round.
Yeah, well, and we talk about it every week. When you get into the playoffs, have goalie will travel. And it does not matter what environment you're in, what other situations you have going on. If you have a hot goalie, you can go a long ways in the playoffs. Speaking of the Tampa Bay Lightning, they are number 4 this week on your power rankings. Still sitting there second in the Atlantic, but wow, all the caution, objects in rearview mirror are closer than they appear. Montreal just 2 points back. The Bruins just 4 points back. They are, I mean, they're this close from, they could win the division, or they might not even be playing in the division when it comes to the playoff time. You know, they might wind up being in a wild card and wind up playing out in the Metro division. They might get moved out there.
It's possible, Adam. Right now, they're 2 points with a game in hand over Buffalo, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, 6-2-2. They're still playing really good hockey. They're going to reach that 100-point plateau again, but you can't stub your toe. You cannot have a bad game like they did against Montreal and lose 4-1 like they did last night. You've got to be able to win these games. And at least you want to secure yourself home ice and get that second seed in your division. So that way you do get home ice in that first round.
Yeah. That home ice is such a crucial and important thing. And right now they've got it. But
and I just want to point out too that what a job Corey Perry has done since he's gone back to Tampa Bay. I mean, he's getting punched in the face. He's getting black eyes. He's doing whatever it takes. He's getting nasty, garbage, greasy goals. And that's everything you wanted from this guy. I'm so happy for him. It was nice to see him in a King uniform for part of this season. And this is where he excels in these moments. You put him on a power play late in a playoff game. He's going to be the guy that can carry you. And I think Corey Perry has been a great acquisition since they picked him up.
Yeah, come time for the playoffs, it's time for Corey Perry to be somewhere in them, and that's always how it lines up and always how it works. Next on the list, we've got the Buffalo Sabres. They just keep impressing. 6-2-2 in their last 10. They are right now on top of the Atlantic. Do they hold it?
I believe that they do. They were also the first team to reach 100 points in the Eastern Conference this year. Something that we never thought we would see is Buffalo reaching the 100-point plateau and then becoming the first to do so. They've got a kind of a favorable schedule. I don't know if it's favorable, but you have Ottawa. Ottawa, Washington, then you're home to Tampa Bay again.
That might be for the division.
That could be the division. Yeah, that could definitely be the division. I'm watching next Monday night, these two teams going back at it. The last time they played 8-7, over 100 penalty minutes, and the potential of the division on the line too. That's going to be really good. But Buffalo's still rolling.
Yeah, Buffalo's still rolling, still going strong, and still it feels like they're going to be in, doesn't it? At this point, I mean, I know they're not. I know a lot could happen, but it kind of feels like they're going to be in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think they're going to be in. I think they can also. I think they're going to win the division. That's incredible if Buffalo can can hold on and win the Atlantic.
There you go. Now we're going to come in with a couple of teams that are a little bit more familiar to us in these spots. We've seen them. We've talked about them a few weeks. Why is my color not changing? I can only stall so long. It's amazing.
We could say they're the Whalers with the blue.
There
we go.
There we go. There. Got it to the right color. There we go. As number 2, the Carolina Hurricanes. This still, to me, as impressive and surprising as Buffalo has been, to me, Carolina still feels like the Kings of the East. Am I right?
I agree with you, Adam. I agree. And they have also now reached that 100-point mark this season. Again, tremendous job by Carolina. A little bit of an easier division as opposed to the Atlantic, as really nobody's been hounding them or been on them all season long. They've led from pole to pole, basically there. So they really haven't had any, roller coasters, streaks this season as well. They're just consistent. Definitely going to be hard to play against them in rally. Always tough when you're going against the Hurricanes at home. And let's see what Brandon Bussey can do and Freddie Anderson, the combination, who they ride in the playoffs to be the number 1 goaltender.
Yes, that is going to be the big question for the Hurricanes, is what are they going to do in net? And as we get closer to the field, we'll be able to kind of dissect that and get in a little bit more, and we'll see how everything lines up and matches up. As it sits right now, as we find ourselves right now, they would be playing Columbus in the first round. But
okay.
But that's going to change. So I wouldn't start previewing the series just yet. I'll put it that way. But yeah, the Hurricanes still, to me, they feel like the crown of the East. Doesn't mean that I think they're necessarily going to win the East. Yeah. But right now, I would put them at the top. And then at the top overall of this list, they've been here seemingly the entire season. They are getting absolutely destroyed tonight. Things are not looking good right now. It is 6-4. The Canucks are on top of the Avalanche, but the Colorado Avalanche still on top of the power rankings.
Yeah, they're up 6-4. I don't know if I haven't really checked the box score to see if Cale Makar was playing tonight or not. I know he got injured in their previous game, and I think they said that he was going to be okay for the most part. So that's great for Colorado. They're still playing. They're steamrolling again. They're now getting hot, as we've seen them in the past. 6-3-1 over their last 10. Just a plus 92 goal differential. That's just, they could be 100 plus on the goal side come the end of the season. And just the other night, Adam, the Avalanche became just the 4th team since 1995 to beat every NHL's team in a single season.
There's nobody on their schedule that they haven't said, "Yep, we got you. We got you." Yep.
And no, they're fantastic. I like Colorado. So dangerous. They're going to play a team that's going to fight to get into a playoff spot. Whoever finishes 8th, and then they're going to play a team in either Dallas or Minnesota who's probably played their hearts out and their guts out the series prior. So they're looking pretty good. I'm not going to say they have it easy, but I mean, you get to this point, so you earn that top spot to be where you're at. So I do like Colorado a lot. Now, we'll see what happens. Come playoff time. Will we see a choke out of them? I don't know. I think they're legit.
As it sits right now, they'd be hosting the Predators in the first round. And then, like you said, they would get whoever survives between Minnesota and Dallas, and they would get whatever is left of them. And I would imagine it wouldn't be a whole lot.
They're probably going to get either Nashville or the Kings, and the Kings are up 1-0 right now. over St. Louis, end of the second. That's huge. The Kings could be up 1 point over Nashville and play Nashville tomorrow and then again on Monday. We play them twice. So things can change at the bottom of that Pacific Division and at the bottom of the Western Conference in the wild card. Right now, Anaheim too is up on San Jose 2-1. So that's kind of hurting San Jose's chances. I don't mind that too much, unfortunately, but hey, what about Macklin Celebrini? Adam,
Oh, he's
right?
he might not make the playoffs this year, but we're going to see him in some postseasons here in the near
19
future.
years old, reaching the 100-point mark. That's fantastic. I didn't see that from him at this stage of his career, and he's just continuing. I would like to see San Jose in the playoffs eventually, and I think we're probably within a year or two from them making it.
I think so. I think so. They are on the cusp, and yeah, to be a 19-year-old getting 100 points in a season, phenomenal, tremendous job
So
there
good.
by
So good.
Macklin Celebrini. Absolutely. Well, so there are the power rankings. Once again, you can reach out to Freddie at FreddieB_sports on Twitter and talk with him about those. Did he have some teams too high? Did he have some others too low? Or there's some teams that just weren't on the list that, hey, man, you need to have these guys on the list. Hey, reach out to him, let him know. We always appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, the Frozen Four drops the puck in Vegas starting tomorrow, and then we'll have the championship this weekend. And then we've also got some updates from the PWHL. We've got another team that has clinched a playoff spot in the PWHL playoffs, in the Walter Cup playoffs, and we'll have another spot very likely to get clinched soon. So we'll get you caught up on that. All that plus more coming up next here on the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Adam, he is Freddie. Together, we do this thing called the Neutral Zone every Wednesday night. We are so glad that you are here with us to talk some hockey. Did a ton of NHL there. Spent an hour straight talking NHL. We're going to take a little bit of a break now from the NHL. We're going to switch gears, and we are going to talk some PWHL right now. We had 3 games over in the Women's League tonight. The Montreal Victoire, they punched their ticket to the Walter Cup playoffs yet again. A 3-0 win over Vancouver.
Yep.
Allowed them to punch their ticket to the playoffs.
They now join Boston as having their tickets punched.
Yeah, so we've got half the field is set. Half the field is ready to go right now in the Walter Cup playoffs. We've still got 2 spots left to go, though. We've got Minnesota seems to be in a good spot, though. The Frost lost tonight to New York in overtime, 4-3. New York needed to have that or if they wanted to have any chance of staying alive. So only 1 point to Minnesota, 2 points go to the Sirens. They stay alive. And then a huge game going on right now in Ottawa between the Scepters and the Charge. They are tied at 1 apiece with 12 minutes left to go in the second period there. Right now, Ottawa is clinging it to the 4th and final spot for the playoffs, but Toronto right behind them and only 2 points back. And a reminder, in the PWHL, they use the 3-2-1 point system. So a regulation. So if Toronto wins in regulation, they'd jump Ottawa. A overtime win, though, doesn't do it. Toronto would get 2 points, but Ottawa gets a point, and so Ottawa would remain in the 4th spot. Now, Ottawa's got a tough week for itself right now. They're playing Toronto right now. Then they turn around on Friday and they host Montreal. Yeah. For a big game. Need to get as many of those points as they can so that they can try to stay alive. The runners up a year ago, the Ottawa Charge, trying to stay alive, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. It feels like Minnesota is going to be in, even though they only got a point. They only got a point tonight. They're on a little bit of a skid right now. They've actually they've had more games. They have had more games where they haven't won in regulation than they have won in regulation, if that makes sense. They're 11-3-4-6 overall. So they've had 13 games where they have failed to get 3 points. They've only had 11 games, so they've gotten all 3 of the points. So on a little bit of a skid right now, but they're so outscoring their competition. They're still the highest scoring team in the league. 72 goals on the season.
So Minnesota's got 6 games left. If they win, I think 3 of those, I think their magic number is 9 points. So if they could win those at least 3 games in regulation, then they should lock up and become that 3rd team joining the playoffs.
Yeah, it should happen fairly straightforward. They host Vancouver this weekend. That's one of them. Then they play New York again next Saturday, and then from there I have to pull up a longer version of the schedule.
Boston, Toronto, Seattle, Vancouver.
Yeah, they've got some tougher ones, but the next couple of games they should be able to pick up some points there. If they get 5 points or more in their next 2 games, that's going to go a long way towards
Definitely.
helping them.
Yep.
Obviously, Ottawa's got some big games that are going to be hurting them. New York's got some other ones in the meantime.
Yeah.
Toronto has a little bit of time off after tonight. The Scepters don't play again until next Saturday is their next game. So Toronto's going to be kind of sitting idle for a little bit. They host, they're playing Ottawa tonight, and then their next game is next week Saturday against Ottawa.
Oh, the 11th. Wow.
So yeah, they've got quite a bit of time there in between games for the Scepters. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it feels like Minnesota should be fairly safe, should be able to get in to the playoffs. But the Montreal Victoire, they have officially punched their ticket. They are the number 2 team in the PWHL playoffs, and it feels like they're probably gonna hold on to that too. They might even still, the 1 is still very much in play. Now, one of the things that has thrust Boston back into the top overall of the standings, Aaron Frankel. Oh my goodness. It feels like we talk about Aaron Frankel just about every single week on this show.
We sure have.
But she earned it. She had 3 consecutive starts without allowing a goal. She went over 190 minutes without allowing a goal. Tremendous stuff.
That's
by
crazy.
Aaron Frankel.
7 shutouts on the season, and she's lower. I mean, she's at a 1.17 goals against average, a 9.54 save percentage, and a gold medal to boot. you gotta throw that in there all the time as well. I mean,
every time.
She has been fantastic. Go on to the thepwhl.com on their website, and then if you type in or search for Aaron Frankel and look at her biography, they just keep adding asterisks and adding more lines to this amazing biography that they've already got for her. And she's outstanding. 16-3 this season. And like you mentioned, Adam, the shutouts, 7 in total on the year.
It just the Franklin Wall, whatever words you want to use to describe her, she is just seemingly unstoppable in that.
This isn't really anything new with her either. I mean, in college, she led all rookie goaltenders with a 934 save percentage. She won the Patty Kazmaier Award in 2021 as a top 10 and was a top 10 finalist in 2020. Goaltending is what she does, and she is so good. And I'm looking forward to watching the Walter Cup playoffs and to see her in net, because these games are going to be fantastic.
They are absolutely going on there. So good stuff happening in the PWHL.
Yeah,
we've got half the field is set. Nobody's eliminated yet. Even last place Seattle sitting there with just 22 points, because you've got these 3-point potential games. Even though the Torrent only have 22 points, they are alive. They can. It would take a lot. They'd have to go on a lot of a run and jump a lot of teams, but nobody is eliminated yet in the PWHL. So a lot to keep track of as they are wrapping up. Everybody's got 6 games left. Ottawa and Seattle both have 7 games left. Now, Ottawa's playing tonight. So after tonight, the Charge will just have 6 games left. But everybody's got basically the same amount left there on their schedule as well.
Adam, before we switch gears real quick, 27 seconds into the third period, Macklin Celebrini scores and ties the game. It's now 2-2 Sharks and Ducks in the third. So Sharks are not out yet. They are 2 points behind Nashville, 2 games in hand over Nashville. So yeah, they can, if they win, if the Kings win, they'll stay pace, and we could be in for a potential San Jose sneaking in to the playoffs. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Just ridiculous how the West refuses to be won.
Yeah.
that's the way I'm choosing to frame that.
Yeah, and let's Vancouver's little short lead over the Avalanche dissipated as well. They blew a 6-3 lead. It's now 6-6.
Oh my goodness. And no Cale Makar, and it just doesn't matter. The Avalanche said, all right, we've toyed around long enough. Now let's go ahead and do this.
Jeez.
Now let's go ahead and do this. Well, coming up as well, we wanted to get to it tonight.
Yeah.
And I keep misspeaking. I keep saying it starts tomorrow.
I wish it started tomorrow.
It doesn't start tomorrow. It starts next Thursday on April 9th, not April 2nd. April Fools, everybody. The host doesn't know what he's talking about. We've got the men's Frozen Four. We're down to the Frozen Four in hockey, and it's the 4 programs that between them have the most national titles amongst the 4 of them. So while they're not the top 4 teams necessarily in the tournament, we had 2 regions hold up. We had 2 regions wind up with upsets.
Yep.
We've got Michigan. We've got North Dakota. Then we've got Wisconsin all the way down at number 12. And we've got Denver coming in this year in the Frozen Four.
Yeah, Adam, I think we said, I think that Western Michigan bracket, it was going to be very difficult for them to get out if they wanted to try to go back-to-back this season. And sure enough, they are playing a hot Denver team, and they got smoked 6-2 in that game. So that ended Western Michigan's run as national champs. So who will it be now? Who's your prediction?
So I was reading up on it and looking at it. Yeah, and Denver absolutely torched Western in that regional final, in the Loveland Regional, 6-2 the final in that one. So you've got some interesting teams there. North Dakota has not given up a goal yet in this tournament. They got back-to-back shutouts in winning the Sioux Fall Regional Final.
Mm-hmm.
They shut out Quinnipiac 5-0 in the regional final, and then in their
Merrimack
in their first game they shut out Merrimack 3-0. So you've got some great goaltending going on in North Dakota, and just like in professional hockey, a hot goaltender can take you a long way.
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota in this, they draw Wisconsin. How the Badgers got into this is incredible. That was an all-timer against Sparty over the weekend.
That was just a crazy game, a 4-3 overtime thriller. And Adam, take us through the shocking finish of that game.
Well, I was texting back and forth with Zach. He used to, for those of you who are longer time viewers of the show, Zach used to be on the show, and he is a Sparty alum. So we would talk a lot of Sparty hockey because he's a very, very proud alumnus of Sparty. So I'm texting with him, and at one point I'm looking down and I'm seeing, it's not looking good here. It's 1-0, man. What's going on? How are you guys? Yeah, we're having a tough one. And then I turn around, and the next thing I know, it's 2-1 Michigan State. And I just wait a second. This isn't basketball. Am I looking at the wrong game here? You don't score twice in a row You don't get 2 points for a goal here. But
Yeah.
no, you had back-to-back goals within 30 seconds of each other. Sparty got it all the way up to 3-1, but then a Herculean effort by Wisconsin, scoring twice in 30 seconds of their own to tie the game in the third period, and then going to overtime, and Dexheimer gets the game winner and gets the Badgers into the Frozen Four with the 4-3 win over Michigan State. And now they get to draw number 2 ranked North Dakota, the number 2 seed in this field, and a team that prides itself on its strong defensive play.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good series going up against Wisconsin. You know, Wisconsin could go both men's and women's national championships. That'd be pretty cool. As far as all the teams that are remaining, Denver has the most championships as recent as 2024, and then won it again in 2022 and in 2017. So they've been the most dominant of all those teams over the past 10 years. Now, if you move down to like Wisconsin, it's been 20 years since they've won a national title in 2006. North Dakota won one 10 years ago in 2016, and Michigan hasn't won a national title since 1964.
Been a long...
I'm sorry, 1988.
Oh, there you go.
I was looking a little too far down. 1998 was 1998 was the last time Michigan won.
That's a little better, but still, you know, that's last century.
That's Red Barons. That's Red Berenson Michigan squads right there.
Yes, those are some old Michigan squads there at this point. I'm gonna say now, some of this is I live in Big Ten country, and so this is going to be a little bit of that coming out of me. I think we're looking at a Michigan-Wisconsin Frozen national championship game. Michigan can be very like this, but they've got a young, great goaltender. Sometimes those freshman kids, they don't realize that this moment should be too big for them, and they can just play out of their minds. I'm gonna go ahead and take Michigan, which probably means we're gonna wind up with a Denver North Dakota championship.
I wouldn't be surprised. Michigan has been the best team all year long in collegiate hockey, and they were number one for pretty much a majority of the season. I would like to see Michigan get back on top and do something like that. But yeah, I mean, Denver is going to be a tough match, and then the two on the other side as well. If I had to guess, I would probably say I'm going to stay with the hot defensive team and go with North Dakota. I'm going to say North Dakota and Michigan, with Michigan winning the title.
All right. I like it. I like it a lot. There's tradition there with North Dakota. They've obviously, some terrific history there. Denver, my goodness, that program has always been fantastic. Always been fantastic. The Pioneers, they do such a great job with that program. But yeah, no matter what we get, we're going to get some terrific hockey out there in Las Vegas next week. We'll have some more. We can have some more of that to preview next week as well on next week's show, as we'll get into that, and we'll talk some more hockey. That is going to do it. That will do it for our show this week. Big shout out and thank you once again to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. Whatever your taste, you will find something you enjoy at Planet Jerky. And then also thank you again to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. When you go to vitalapparel.com, be sure to use the promo code IPSR at checkout. Get 15% off of your order. And, of course, be sure to follow along with IE Sports Radio on all the social media platforms. at Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube at IE Sports Radio, and be sure to check out the website, IESportsRadio.com. You can also follow this show at IESR Neutral Zone. He is at Freddie B _sports. I am at Adam _Karnik. Thank you to Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, for all the hard work you're doing behind the scenes, sir. It does not go unnoticed, nor is it unappreciated. Thank you to all 116 people that hung out with us doing the show tonight. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you to Adam and Brian as well for hanging out with us in the chat room. Next week, we'll see what the playoff picture looks like in the NHL as more topsy-turvy stuff goes on. We'll see if any more teams have clinched. We're going to see some tickets get punched, I'm sure. Buffalo's really close. We got some other ones getting very close as well. We'll get you updated on that. We'll see. We'll talk some more Frozen 4, and we'll get you set and ready for the PWHL. We'll see who else is clinched there as well. For IE Sports Radio, he is Freddie B. I am Adam Karnik. We do this thing every Wednesday night. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Be safe, be healthy, have a fantastic Passover, excellent Easter. We will see you next time. Have a good one, everybody.